Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 44 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we are going to start growing algae, which is an efficient use of that mineralized water we have left over, and then we're going to start consuming that sulfuric acid and start mining with it, which will be pretty cool. Enjoy. And they're on two separate things here, so we'll just add them together. So we have 60 and 80, so we need to handle 140. So green algae from mineralized water. 140 mineralized water goes in, so we need 27 algae farms. Then we can turn that algae into cellulose fiber, and then the fiber into pellets. So then we want to produce carbon dioxide right here. From wood pellets. So it requires 2 wood pellets per second in. So that reduces our pellets from, I guess, 7.3 to 5.3. So that is our output. So then we take those 5.3, and then we can either turn it into more carbon dioxide or charcoal. We're not really using that much carbon dioxide right now, so I don't think it's really necessary to turn it into pellets. And we already have a different system doing that already. So we can probably leave it. And then just turn the output into charcoal. And we'll change the fuel type right here to pellets. Then there we go. Our input of 140 mineralized water will create 7.9 charcoal. Unfortunately, this is going to be a fairly large setup. But fairly straightforward, just large. I was trying to build the algae farm too, but it looks like it got moved behind red algae processing in the mod that I updated. So we'll research what we need to for that. So first is thermal water extraction, which is just a way of getting thermal water out of the ground. And then red algae processing, which requires clay bricks. And then you use that thermal water and ammonia gas to grow red algae, which you can then turn into calcium carbonate, and then it goes further from there. But I'm just doing it for the algae farm too. Okay, let's get these algae farms in here, as compact as we can get them anyway. Oh, and that setup just dies to have one more algae farm, which I cannot afford. Okay, I think that setup should work pretty well. Let's get some power lines in there. Had to kind of make it wide like this because it produces 87.5 green algae a second, so I needed to get multiple red belts here to make it all fit properly. So I'm actually going to change this here and set this to 8. Since we have 8 algae farms per line here, which will be 26.7. So we'll need 11 assembly machines. Turning that into cellulose fiber. And let's put another light right there. So then we need to copy this over. On this side, except without any of these. Okay, that's 13.4 out per second. Then to turn them into pellets, we're going to need 6 machines per side. Something like that. This setup is getting big enough where I'm not sure I want to move it when it's completed. I am kind of worried about it crowding stuff, but at this point it's sufficiently large that I don't know if I want to move it around. So that much is completed. I'm thinking I probably should move it and not be lazy. Just because we might be doing other algae work besides just this. Let's put it all the way on the end here. It's right about there. Okay, let's get this connected by power poles so we can see. Now we need one liquefier working on those pellets to send them back as carbon dioxide. Well, but that's for the limited amount. So we're going to need 3 liquefiers to process wood pellets into carbon dioxide, and then 3 steel furnaces to handle the rest of it. Let's put the liquefiers over here, and the furnaces over here to make it look symmetrical. Let's see, we need to connect all the carbon dioxides. Let's go straight down the middle. Okay, carbon dioxide is connected, but we kind of want a tank here, because we only want this to run as necessary to keep it topped off. So let's say right here. We'll put a pump in here. A circuit network. And say this can run. Carbon dioxide is less than, let's say, 5,000. Then that will run and top it off. Now we need to make our charcoal. Okay. And with that, our charcoal output is ready to go. So we need to get the carbon dioxide up here and the mineralized water. So I'm going to use the carbon dioxide producing system of our algae processing. So we should no longer have to do it in any other way. Although it actually kind of makes sense to leave this one hooked up, because this one is hooked up to trees while that one's hooked up to mineralized water. So there are 2 separate systems. Let's see, one of them is below 2,000. This one's 4,000. I think the other one was 5,000. Let's make it 6,000 just to be even. So we need to come in through here. It might be easier to just go along here. Although we're using different types of tanks, so we have to think of in terms of percentages. So one of them is going 10%, this one is 20%, so we should probably do, like, let's say 30% for the other one. What is 30% of 25,000? 7.5. Okay, this should be set up correctly then. That system is going to equalize. So the mineralized water needs to go all the way out there. Let's see, let's do this. And right there, so they're even with each other. At least up until this point. And boom. Should all fire up now. So we have all green. And then the wood pellets make it through. Okay, seems pretty good. Out of curiosity, what does it look like down here? Not much is happening yet. Guess because we haven't piped in oxygen quite yet. Okay. Getting close. We need to run it to here. But unlike the other side, which is limited, based on our wood production, this will be unlimited because we want to get rid of all of that mineralized water. So hopefully this thing doesn't fill up. If it does, well, then we'll have to deal with that. Probably just dump the mineralized water if we can't find an efficient use for it. So now we have a long belt to run. Can't really put it there. That actually makes sense for it to come in through here. And then down like that. Okay, there goes the charcoal. So this whole thing has a dump now. Looks like it basically cleared itself out because it's empty right here. Carbon dioxide looks good. So, okay. That all looks good. So finally, we've got mineralized water taken care of, which means all of this can run properly. We've got hydrogen taken care of, so that'll be clear. Which means we're finally to the point where we can hook up oxygen. Well, the first thing we'll hook up is just the sulfur, so we can see how it works. There we go. Sulfur dioxide gas production, and then sulfuric acid production. It's a large system, beginning to end here. We are producing carbon. As a result, we are getting sulfur. And that sulfur is going up to being reduced into sulfuric acid. And we have this giant system producing our oxygen. The extra hydrogen is being burned off right here. And then all the way out here, I don't think we have radars out there. Oh, we do. Then all the way out here, we're getting rid of the mineralized water. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's running at full speed, and I think the reason is because these are clogged in sulfur. So if we were to remove them, I think it would run better. Yeah. It's clearing up. So it's just backed up on sulfur. Now everything's green. And we're quickly going to fill up on sulfuric acid because we very much need somewhere to dump it for this whole system to work. Well, let's dump it. And oh my goodness, is it going to be a long path. I kind of want to just go on the right side here and then make a bridge or something. It wouldn't be the end of the world to just follow this, so we'll go left. So we need to come along this line here. But that needs to be there because of the sulfur dioxide gas input from lead. We've got a lot of decentralized systems that we need to hook up to this for it to work as intended. But first things first, let's get that acid actually going somewhere and getting used, because otherwise, as you can see, we're almost full on it already. So, for this to be a lean, mean machine, it's got to be consuming all of that. We might need pumps to get it to go this whole long distance. We'll have to see if it can make it on its own without assistance. Alright, we've made it to our mining setup here. And since we have such a very, very long run with this sulfuric acid, let's put a pump here. And no circuit network required. It's just there to apply pressure and get it down the system. Okay, now that we have a tank, let's place it. There's shallow water. Where? Oh. Let's place it right there. Have another pump going in. And let's get it powered. See how quickly that goes up. It's actually going pretty good. That's more than enough output. So what do we do here? Well, we need to supply sulfuric acid to these mining drills. So you see how the drills in the middle, they have access to both regular ore? It's kind of, they're overlapped there. It's like 102k of regular ore and 4.4 ore per second of the infinite ore. Well, depending on which node it randomly picks to mine, it'll either require some acid or not require some acid. So the problem is you can hook those up immediately. Like, watch what happens if I disconnect this and then put it back on. It will start running because it randomly, or I guess it randomly thought it found a node of non-infinite, but then it hit an infinite node and then it's like, nope, paused. So you need to apply some fluid. Let's say we reversed these directions. Don't have anything here at all. Reverse these directions to go this way. And also reverse this one as well. So in doing so, we've roughly split this output, where the output on the bottom is stuff that does not require acid, and the stuff up here does. Now there are some mixed in here that don't require acid, but the majority of them do, so we can just say that they do. Interesting, the sapphirite silo requires crushed sapphirite. Well, we can crush by hand. How long has it been since crushing by hand has been a thing? Wow, that's so slow. Because I want a colored silo, because why not? After all, sapphirite is going in here. So let's make 3 fast loaders. And we'll have a loader here. And we'll hook it up to the circuit network and say, this one is the priority. We always want this one to run. So let's say if sapphirite ore is under 4,000, this will run. And then if sapphirite ore is under, let's say 2,000, this one will run. There we go. I'll leave that one disconnected for now. And then the output will just always go down there. So what this is doing is giving priority to the half of the setup that we have determined requires mining by sulfuric acid. So hopefully all the sulfuric acid miners will work first, and then whatever's left over will be fixed by all the non-sulfuric acid ones. I just need to move some of this stuff around here, or we can do something like that. Trying to do it with the minimum amount of moving stuff around here. There we go, everything is green. Which is what we want to see. Sulfuric acid is getting consumed probably very slowly. It seems like these things actually need a bunch of red belts. So let's put a second one up here. The same network condition as the other one. Yeah, I forgot, like, look how fast this one goes, like, like it really goes nuts. That infinite ore mining is actually very fast. So we need to find an infinite patch to put yarn on. There we go. It's very fast now, but fear not, just like with stock oil, it slows down quite a bit. It still uses the same amount of fluid. So you see how it says it requires on the right side of the screen, that's like right here? It requires 1 per second. or 1 fluid per mining operation. So basically it's 1 fluid per ore. So it's interesting you can just watch this go down in real time as it's going nuts. But that's how infinite ore mining goes. I'd be curious to see what it looks like on the other side, to see how we're doing with sulfuric acid. Do we have a radar out there? Yes. It's actually going down relatively slowly, but... So, all of this cleared up. Looks like hydrogen gas is basically cleared up. Oxygen looks good. Everything seems to be operating as intended. And there we go. This filled up, so now it's not constantly running, but rather just keeping it topped off. And then we can hook up that one, and it's been disabled for now. And it looks like we just caught up to whatever we were consuming. So we're almost done with sulfuric acid here. Just about everything is set up to where it needs to be. The last thing we need to do is integrate it into the separate systems that are down here. Oh yeah, we need to take care of that calcium sulfate as well. Okay, well let's take care of that. I think we already figured it out. So we just need 1 liquefier. 1 liquefier and 1 water treatment plant, which conveniently happens to be right here. Well, now that we have a circuit network, tell it to run only if it's below, let's say 4,000. And we don't need this sulfuric acid machine here because we're making it elsewhere. Looks like all of this still needs to be connected for now, though. Okay, so we need a liquefier. Looks like 1 liquefier will take a very long time to make its way through all of this. Oh well, it probably eventually will. Let's see, well these actually need to be hooked up to sulfuric acid, which is over here. That's weird how this was done. Well, since it says we need exactly 1, I kind of want to do 2 instead. Let's just put them right there. Then the calcium sulfate. Might be easier if it was in a slightly different spot. And have the input priority on the machines that are currently running. There we go. And we can make a few more of these down here, I guess, if we need to. There, we can hook that back up to sulfur dioxide gas. Oh, this might be a little messy, but let's do that instead. That way we have room for the inserters. Let's do this. Long-handed here. And now this belt has a long journey all the way down here. It might make sense for it to kind of be on the end here. So we'll go down, down, down. But at this point here, input priority for the stuff that's coming down the belt. And actually, we should probably have a storage building. We don't use clay bricks regularly, so it's hard to say how long some of this stuff might have to sit here before it gets consumed. So having a building will help. There we go, it's slowly working its way through all those byproducts. Actually, a good question remains, and that is, should we even be making this at all? This fertilizer. It does go into things, so it's not necessarily a bad idea to keep it around, but do we need to be producing it right now? I don't think so. So I'm going to disconnect it and let it run dry. But we're going to leave this system in place for some time in the future where we might need it still. Probably not, but who knows. And then we're just going to let this system very slowly work its way through that sulfur dioxide gas, which we need to take back to sulfur processing. And let's hook it up. There we go. How are we doing with sulfur down here? It's basically full. It might help to use a pump just to get the stuff out of here. But whenever you use pumps, it's good to have them connected directly to a tank just for speed reasons. So let's do that. And that pole is going to have to move. There we go. Just to get that empty, leave as much room as possible for the lead. These don't seem to be running as fast as I was hoping they would. So let's double it up. Hopefully it's not too much of an effort to do that. Let's see, can we just kind of plop it here? Kinda, as long as we divert this hydrogen. Fortunately, there's not really a whole lot of room to do that. Well, let's remove hydrogen for now and figure it out in a second. Okay, that's clearing it out a little better. There we go. That'll get the hydrogen in there. In a roundabout way. Lastly, we need to hook up our oxygen and hydrogen. So everything might shut down for a second, but let's do that. Let's do it right there. Okay. Then continue down the line until we get right here, where we can hook up for everything else we need. See, we don't really need this oxygen tank anymore since we have one elsewhere. It is going to kind of waste all the oxygen to pick it up, but well, we can try to save as much of it as possible. Let's see, disconnecting this. It's going to be kind of a roundabout way here. I just don't like wasting resources if I can avoid it. Let's see, that should pump it all out of there as much as we can. Or we can leave that there for a while and it'll eventually get rid of it. Well, let's do that. Let's just leave it. Yeah, eventually it'll clear out. Then we can move all of this. See, we need all this room just for pipes and whatever. There we go. It's flowing in, and it'll get consumed at night. So with that, we can remove this fluid burning generator, because we now have a different method of handling it, and also we can get rid of the hydrogen gas as well, which we can take care of with a pump here. And then rehook hydrogen back up. And that should be patched in. This whole area is unfortunately kind of a mess, logically, because it's been kind of updated a couple of times. But it should still work. We're not really producing nickel right now because I'm trying to collect a bit of it. This should all work pretty well, and there's a couple of things about this we can upgrade. Like, we don't really need to be doing reverse gas shift anymore, which is kind of a complicated way of putting carbon dioxide in and then getting carbon monoxide out, which is kind of a convoluted way of doing it compared to just putting in carbon and purified water, and then we would get carbon monoxide. So we'd get instantly what we need without having to have this electrolyzer here, or worrying about any of that logic. Like, we wouldn't have to have hydrogen here, but we already kind of need hydrogen for other stuff, and this setup currently works, so, you know, pros and cons to really doing things differently. But I think it's good enough for now. It will work. Well, it's been a long journey over the past couple of episodes, building up our factory's power production capacity, so we're pretty efficient now, and that should help us expand in the future. But that's going to have to wait till the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.